Good morning, gardening friends, and happy Valentine's Day. Today is Friday, February 14th, and I'm feeling better today. I'd say about 90% back to normal, and I thought I would do a video today. It's supposed to rain Sunday, so a lot has happened here out in the yard and in my gardens and in my blooming plants, and I thought I would try to capture as much as possible today. And we're starting here in the front porch. You can see the last of my amaryllis are about ready to bloom. For some reason, these last ones are shorter than all the other ones. May have something to do with them being refrigerated as long as they were. Everything is still looking fine. I took some more cuttings this week. Over here, of course, everything still looks green. I did buy some hyacinths, and these are already the second blossoms. I had them last week, and all of the first blossoms had come out, but I had bought purposely pots with double blooms in them. And of course, the plant of the week is the Nuns Orchid. It was brought in here. Not a very fancy pot, but it's too big. I'm going to break it up into smaller plants, and that way I'll be able to carry them around more easily after it blooms. But here you can see the beautiful flowers. It's called Nuns Orchid because the orchids look like the habit of a nun. Its Latin name, I did some research on the internet, is Phaius Tankervilleae. Phaius meaning dusky or brown, and Tankervilleae means it was named after Tankerville. Turns out, in looking who that was, it was Lady Emma Tankerville in England. She was I guess born in the 1750s, somewhere in there, and lived to be 85. So she died about 1830. The Nuns Orchid was the first orchid ever to be successfully grown in England and bloom in England, by Lady Emma Tankerville. Let's take a close look. You can see the color of it. It is brownish when you look at the flower itself. This one has no fragrance. Some of them do have fragrances, but this is easily about 5 feet tall. Of course, it is in a big pot, but it is a beautiful orchid. Again, I'm going to split it up into 2 pieces, so it'll be in smaller pots and it'll be easier for me to move around. My pitcher plant, the Nepenthes, is still doing fine. Still have to fill the pitchers. Also, my staghorn fern is doing well. And I noticed this morning another blossom on my cactus. So, still have the blossom on the African violet. Let's go outside. Exciting stuff. I cut back the dead on my agaves, and this is about what's left. When they start to die, they get these black spots. And that one wasn't too bad, so I left that frond on there, or leaf on there, but I cut all the others off. And as you can see, it's doing pretty well. We are due to have another day of cold weather this week. And I just noticed this minute, my bananas are coming back. I'll have to throw a cover over them this week, because I guess Wednesday it's supposed to dip down to 27. Actually, there would probably be okay. And here, unfortunately, Last week was nicer. This is Royal Velvet. It's called Royal Velvet Camellia, and it is just blooming up a storm. They are huge blossoms. Let me get my hand next to one of them. As big as the palm of my hand. Some of the other camellias have blossoms on them, or at least buds on them, but no blooms yet. This is a huge camellia when it blooms. We'll see it next week. High fragrance is pretty much bloomed out. The frost really did damage the flowers on this year. But there's always next year. There's still a couple of buds here and there. And my double white is still performing well. It always reminds me of carnations. But that is a spectacular camellia, red velvet. Back in here, all is well. I'm going to take a walk by the street because I happened to notice yesterday, while picking up some trash, that I've got some daffodils that I planted. Oh, one is blooming. Let's see if there are any more in the front here. Yep. I planted a bunch of them, and as you can see, they're starting to come up. I will weed all of this. You can also see my lilies are coming back. This one I'm probably going to cut. Not right now, but a little later today. Beautiful flower. Whew. I'm a little weak on my feet, so I apologize if the video is a little shaky. I did plant daffodils along this fence, although to be truthful, I don't remember what they are. Cycads are still looking good. The dramatic change, da-da-da-da-da-da. Cut back the crepe myrtle. I finally decided I'm going to be turning 70 this year. That is too old to be climbing a ladder to pollard crepe myrtles. So I cut it down to the point where I can pollard it from the ground. And that way it's going to force all of the blooms much lower. So I've been putting off doing it because once when you do it, you can't get it back again. So I may still take another foot off of those, but not this year. That's as low as it's going to go this year. So it's about 7 foot off the ground, but with a pair of loppers, once when the sprouts start coming, I will be able to deal with it. I did not notice any growth yet on my tree fern, Australian tree fern. We'll see if it lived. If not, I will probably plant something else there. That would be a good place for a cabbage palm. So I do notice it's annoying. That's the one palm I've tried 3 times to grow, and I can't grow it. But a neighbor up the street has one. It's huge. But he has it in the front of his house like mine, which is a southern exposure. I have to get rid of the satsumas because they're now all gone. The other news is spring is here. I have to get down there without falling over. My Phaius japonica is blooming. lily of the valley bush. Also my mandevilla that I brought in for the winter. And of course the Lenten rose, or hellebore, is really in full bloom now. It's looking beautiful. I have two other hellebores. That one doesn't show any signs of blooming this year, but it will next year. Here you see these daffodils are starting to bloom. This is the one daffodil. I don't know its name. I bought it many years ago, but it's the only one that naturalizes for me. I have not had to buy it ever again because it keeps spreading and spreading. Here's more over here. They are beautiful. And you can see the Satsuma trees have lost a lot of leaves. They will be trimmed down, but I left everything but the crepe myrtles be. Oh, we passed the crepe myrtle. You can't even see it from here. This one was cut back, way back, as was the one on the other corner of the deck. So now it'll bloom about 6 feet or 5 to 6 feet from that stub. So that's a perfect height. There was no reason for it to be any taller than that. Of course, these camellias are still blooming. I did try pickling these blossoms. I got a recipe last year for pickled camellia blossoms. Basically, you make a pickle juice similar to what's used in bread and butter pickles. And yeah, they taste like a bread and butter pickle, but it's like a soggy piece of paper with bread and butter pickle juice on it. Not very appetizing, so I wouldn't recommend it from my point of view, but it looked pretty. They kept their color when they pickled, but I wouldn't do it again. It was a waste of time. More camellias blooming there. Actually, the bougainvilleas are leafing out. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hyacinths are coming up from last year. This pot I really like. I'm going to keep that most of the summer, hopefully. Whoops. Got to be careful going up on the deck. Oh, goodness. Almost lost my balance. In here, brought in this plant again. They're my ground orchids. You can see my poinsettia is looking much better. And I repotted, or potted, the cuttings I took of my angel's trumpets, and they are doing much better than in water. They've already turned a dark green. So I have one white, one pink, and one yellow. I have to be careful coming off this deck. Whew. This is more walking than I've done for a while. So I'm getting my exercise today. There's the other crepe myrtle gone. It looks so much more open. And of course it will grow about 5 feet from there. So it'll fill that void nicely. Here's another lily, crinum lily. I couldn't think of the name fast enough in the front yard. And here is peppermint stick. It's starting to bloom. Annoyingly, These are the ones that revert to the solid colors. Strawberries are coming back after spending that cold snap in the garage. More peppermint stick. I did notice, although it's not spectacular, this is about as good as it gets for my forsythias, but I'll take that. It always looks nice walking. It's like being in the jungle, walking under palm fronds. This agave is not bad. This leaf was damaged, but I don't see a lot of other damage on it yet. But the bottom ones are turning yellow. They'll be cut off. Here I have to do some weeding. You can see a weed coming up in my chair. That's something I can do gradually now that I'm feeling better. That pot was left out in the cold weather, and the rosemary survived the frigid temperatures that we had. The grass is getting real high. We'll be cutting it next week again. Ginger lilies are showing green, so they will come back. Back in here, all is looking well. It does not look that like this lady palm got very burned. It did have some damage, but overall not bad. Of course, the Spanish moss has done well. Oh, here's some more of my lily of the valley bush. It's a shame it doesn't have a scent, but it is pretty. And I see buds on my hydrangeas. Nico Blue. One last flower to show, which I'm always proudest of because I've waited for so many years. One of my snowflakes is in bloom. That whole clump is snowflake, but only one flower this year. But I'm thankful for the one flower that's there. That has been there about 10 years, and it really just started blooming recently. Also, my species amaryllis has got a bud. This one, not yet. The cyclamen are doing better. They've gotten a very dark green color now that they're out on the deck again. They did not like being in the dim lit kitchen. And this I planted, what, about 2 or 3 weeks ago? I did that for Miss Mimi. She's sleeping in bed, but she likes to chew grass. So I put some winter rye in a pot, and I'll bring it in eventually. Over here, the cardboard palm, it's doing okay. The geraniums are coming back, leafing out. The mint here and mint there, they were left out during the cold and are doing well. I cut back my papyrus, and it sent some shoots like this way out over the edge of the dish, and I cut them back yesterday and was going to throw them out, and then I realized they had little roots on them, so I potted them up in that pot over there. I have nothing to lose if they die, because I was going to throw them out anyway. But if they live, I will gain another plant. They all had, I'd say, like little half-inch roots on the bottom of them. My banana is still coming back over here. I looked yesterday because we were cutting down that crepe myrtle over there. And I did not yet see any sprouts on the bananas back here, but this is the north side of my house. So I would not expect anything yet until it heats up some. But you can also see the lower petalums in the pots have some flowers on them. My stock is still in bloom. I brought that in for the cold. Oh, and there is Dilly. They're getting tame. I found the female's weakness, not his. Pickle, the tortoiseshell cat. She likes to play with the toy. I got like a little pole with a couple of feathers on the end of it, and she is absolutely crazy for playing with that. So gradually I'm taming them. I've been able to touch him, but he still recoils away. So eventually I will tame them down and get them fixed, and hopefully they'll be house cats. But in the meantime, they like their food. So, well, you can tell my voice is going a little, but considering I am about an hour away from taking my pill, a few days ago, I would barely be able to breathe at this point. So the fact that I can still talk means that I'm getting better, and I hope to have a full recovery. So I hope you can get out there. Again, happy Valentine's Day. Oh, the other thing I want to point out, if you can see up there, if I can point to it, I don't know if you can tell or not, there is some green on my Phoenix canariensis. So it did survive so far. Hopefully you can see that at the very base of the fronds. That's good news. I knew it would live, but you never quite know for sure until you see the green appear. So it did make it through the cold. And again, after we're done with the cold snaps, I'll cut down all the cycad branches. But that was enough for this week. It was a huge pile of the 3 crepe myrtles. So again, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you can get out and enjoy the weather. Ooh, I just noticed my neighbor's trees in the background are blooming, his magnolias. So get out, enjoy the spring weather, or the beautiful weather when you can. And until next week, take care.